the clear implication from what we've been reading about, not just Fiona's story, but all the other ones we've been hearing from one particular place in particular, is that doctors are playing God, that they're basically deciding who lives and who dies. They're giving medication to hasten death. They're not. And it can be dependent sometimes on the behaviour of the patient.
Sure.
Is this a fair allegation? Is this what goes on? And what do you feel about it?
I think they're, as Fiona says, very understaffed, and expectations on them are huge. There's no doubt that patients with dementia can exhibit what we call challenging behaviours: agitation, restlessness, wandering off, aggression, fights breaking out, we've just heard. And when you're under-resourced, you don't have the time to do what is ideal, find out the cause of the restlessness or the agitation, address that. What you do is you reach for the quickest answer, which is often sedation, and that's not appropriate. So yes, it is a problem in our NHS. We don't have enough social care resources, and therefore people are getting inappropriate treatment because it's the first resort. And it's the last resort.
Has this panel's inquiry opened an absolute can of worms for the NHS?
I think the latest accusation that syringe drivers were faulty and were responsible for many deaths, that doesn't appear, according to the Gosport panel, have any foundation or evidence to support it. Syringe drivers are a way of giving a medication which is hopefully appropriate, but in a continuous way, which is controlled, so you don't get the highs and lows of sudden bolus injections, which maybe treat pain or restlessness or whatever, and then it wears off and you have to wait for the pain to come back to give the next bolus dose. So, in a way, a syringe driver is a good thing.
What part of the Gosport scandal, which is not the same thing that Fiona's talking about, but what part of that scandal has appalled you the most?
Lack of communication with relatives of patients, not explaining what is going on, and one person having too much responsibility and nobody supervising that person or following guidelines. Those are things which now I don't believe would happen.
Fiona, as we say, Fiona, your father wasn't being treated at this particular hospital, and we're not identifying the hospital where he was being treated, but you did have communication with medical staff, but you were given a list of drugs. I mean,
only when I asked for them, but I also...
But I don't know how any normal person would understand what that meant, that list. You know, you're not medically trained.
No. And I trained as a radiographer years and years and years ago, so I had a knowledge of various things.
Yeah, but most family members aren't in that situation,
they wouldn't.
Are they? So even if you ask for, what is he on? You know, sometimes that's just going to be a foreign language.
But I kept pleading with the staff, but the consultant was either on holiday or hadn't, and they were sending her electronic notes. And she's very experienced. She'd been in the NHS for decades, and she responded to written notes and proper face-to-face communication. But I wasn't getting any of that. And the last time I saw him, he was wandering around completely. He was on the verge of multiple organ failure, which is what happened in the... I mean, truly went in there, to be looked after, and he ends up being killed. And not killed, but
dying.
Dying.
Yeah.
From multiple organ failure. Yeah. The last time I saw him, he was wandering around, like just stooped over like this, urinating at will. And my dad was a really dignified fellow, and urinating at will all around the corridor, up the walls, and it was just.
And you think that was as a result of the medication?
Oh, absolutely. He wasn't on any medication before he went in there, and then he had an A4 list which included powerful antipsychotics.
Well, it sounds appalling, and this report. This inquiry is appalling. I mean, I'm shocked, but I do think ultimately probably just comes down to under-resource, as always, at all aspects of NHS.
And there's no excuse for failure to communicate with relatives who care, who love the patient. They just want to be kept informed. If you'd known what was going on, you could have intervened. Right. You should have had the options. Do you want your father to have this treatment or not?
But ultimately, Dr. Hilary, we trust the medically trained professionals.
Yes.
To look after those we love, it's not our responsibility to decide what treatment they're on.
No.
We trust that they're on the best
No,
treatment for them.
but we like to have an
Fiona
option.
had some training, but I wouldn't know,
No.
you know, what to do in that situation, and most people wouldn't.
Well, our social care service needs to be up to scratch, basically, because people with dementia shouldn't be in a hospital environment anyway.
That's a crucial part of this.
Absolutely.
The pressure on the hospitals, which is caused by there's a lot more of us and we're living a lot longer.
Yeah.
But now we don't have nearly enough social care to take people out of hospital when they should
Absolutely.
be sent home because there's nowhere to send them.
And by and large, I think the nurses and doctors in the NHS do a fantastic job.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But they're so much under pressure. They do need more help, and they do need to. Patients' expectations need to come down a little bit to be more realistic, and we need to give them more resources.
Hilary, Fiona, thank you both very much
Thank you
indeed.
so much. And I know that's it's only now that you're speaking out about what happened to your father, because you feel so.
Well, it's happening more than we think, I think,
Yeah.
as well.